Most affordable streamers promise the same things: high-res audio, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and support for every streaming service you can think of. I've listened to streamers costing 10 or even 20 times more than this one, so I wasn't expecting miracles. But here's the question that really matters. Does the Arylic LP20 do everything it needs to do without constantly reminding you that it was built to a budget? Let's find out. The Arylic LP20 is an affordable music streamer that gets the most important thing right. It plays music. But before we listen to it, let's take a quick look at what you actually get. Setting it up couldn't be much easier. Download the Go Control app, let it find the LP20 on your network, and a couple of minutes later you're ready to start streaming. The app is where you'll spend most of your time, but Arylic also includes a proper remote control. You can adjust the volume, skip tracks, pause, playback, select inputs, and switch the unit on or off. And surprisingly, I found myself using it more often than I expected. Picture this: you're washing dishes because your girlfriend volunteered you for the job. Your hands are wet, you're wearing rubber gloves, and suddenly you want to skip a track. Good luck unlocking your phone. This is exactly the kind of situation where a simple remote control suddenly becomes far more useful than another fancy touchscreen. But there's another feature that I genuinely wish my Eversolo had. The LP20 integrates with Google Home, allowing you to control playback using Gemini voice commands. Just say, "Hey Google, skip this track," and the LP20 responds almost instantly. You'll first need to link Spotify or YouTube Music to Gemini. But once that's done, it works exactly as you'd expect. I tested with Spotify and had no issues at all. The LP20 isn't aimed at the kind of audiophile whose AC power cable costs more than the streamer itself. Instead, it's designed for people looking for an affordable way to enjoy music streaming without compromising on sound quality. If you already own a traditional stereo amplifier or an AV receiver and want to add modern streaming capabilities, the LP20 fits that role very well. It brings together streaming services, network playback, and a modern control interface in a compact and affordable package. Most importantly, it lets you step into the world of music streaming without sacrificing the savings you've been putting aside for that holiday you've been promising yourself for the last 3 years. Unlike the Eversolo DMP-A6, the LP20 doesn't have a display. Instead, it communicates with the user through the LED light bar on the front panel. Its different colors and flashing patterns indicate the selected input, pairing mode, volume level, and other functions. It isn't the most intuitive system at first, and you'll probably find yourself checking the manual a few times until the colors start to make sense. Before long, you'll know that green means the analog input and blue means Bluetooth. Or is it the other way around? In reality, it doesn't matter that much. Both the remote control and the Go Control app provide direct access to the inputs and most of the LP20's functions, so you rarely have to rely on memorizing the LED color codes. Like many products that don't have a display, there's a small learning curve, but after the first 1 or 2 years, you'll feel completely at home. The LP20 is well equipped. It offers stereo analog RCA inputs and outputs, optical and coaxial digital outputs, and an optical digital input which I use to connect my Sony TV. There is also a USB port for connecting an external hard drive containing your music library. The LP20 can also be used as a USB DAC via its USB-C port. Since this same connection is used for both power and data, it needs to be connected to a device capable of providing both simultaneously. In my case, it worked perfectly with my laptop, where it was recognized as an external USB sound card. However, I wasn't able to use this function with my Eversolo DMP-A6. The LP20 also includes a dedicated subwoofer output, with its level tracking the main volume automatically. The crossover frequency is fixed, so there's no way to adjust it in the software. Any fine-tuning has to be done on the subwoofer itself. Fortunately, I happen to have a REL T9X SE Carbon Edition for a review, so adjusting the crossover and output level was quick and straightforward. The LP20 also supports both Apple AirPlay and Google Cast, two technologies designed to make streaming music from your phone, tablet or computer as simple as pressing a button. If you're an Apple user, AirPlay lets you send music, podcasts or other audio directly from your iPhone, iPad or Mac to the LP20 over your home Wi-Fi network. You can also include it in a multi-room setup, allowing the same music to play in different rooms perfectly synchronized. Google Cast offers a very similar experience for Android users. Instead of streaming over Bluetooth, compatible apps such as Spotify, YouTube Music and many others can send the music directly to the LP20 over your Wi-Fi network. With Google Cast or AirPlay, your phone simply tells the LP20 what to play, and the LP20 streams the music itself. The LP20 can also access music stored on a NAS. Think of it as your own personal music server, a hard drive connected to your home network that stores your music library and makes it available to any compatible device in the house. If you've spent years building a collection of CDs and have ripped them to digital files, a NAS is one of the best ways to keep your entire library organized and instantly accessible without needing a computer switched on. So let's talk about sound quality. Listening through its analog outputs, the LP20 came surprisingly close to my benchmark DAC1. That says as much about the progress of modern DAC technology as it does about the LP20 itself. The level of detail was remarkably good, vocals were clean and natural, and although the bass didn't quite have the extension or authority of more expensive DACs, it remained controlled and convincing throughout. What impressed me most was just how refined the LP20 sounded for its price. If there were areas where my benchmark DAC1 still pulled ahead, they were mainly in soundstage depth and the three-dimensional placement of instruments. The LP20 presents a slightly flatter acoustic image, but never one that feels artificial or fatiguing. Then I decided to make life a little more difficult for it. I queued up Lee Morgan. A trumpet is one of those instruments that can quickly become harsh or fatiguing if a DAC isn't getting things right. I thought this might be where the LP20 starts to show its price. It wasn't. The trumpet retained its bite without becoming aggressive, and the LP20 handled it remarkably well. Perhaps there was a little less air around the instruments and a touch less resolution that I'm used to hearing from significantly more expensive equipment, but the character of the performance was preserved beautifully. Before I knew it, I found myself tapping my foot to Art Blakey's drumming on Moaning, a studio recording from 1958, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can pay the LP20, because at that moment I wasn't analyzing the DAC anymore. I was simply enjoying the music. And just to be clear, everything I have just described was heard using the LP20's own analog outputs, with my benchmark DAC1 completely out of the signal path. Should you buy it? Yes. But if you're looking for your first music streamer and don't want to spend a fortune, at this price, the LP20 is generally difficult to beat. It offers a very complete feature set, good sound quality, and enough flexibility to fit into almost any existing hi-fi system. However, if ease of use is your absolute priority, or if budget simply isn't a concern, a streamer with a touchscreen, for example, offers a much more intuitive user experience and makes everyday interaction considerably easier. And if you're the kind of audiophile who has spent more on an interconnect cable than the LP20 actually costs, you're probably going to want something more ambitious. Although, this would make a pretty good Christmas or birthday present for your son. assuming you can resist borrowing it back. The funny thing is, I genuinely enjoyed my time with the LP20. It reminded me that great hi-fi isn't always about chasing the most expensive equipment. Sometimes it's simply about finding a component that gets out of the way and lets you enjoy the music. I think the DAC implementation deserves much of the credit for that. It consistently delivered an enjoyable, engaging sound that made me stop analyzing the equipment and simply listen to the music. And in hi-fi, that's probably the biggest compliment you can pay any component. Thanks for watching. See you next time.